Visualize victory, the inner game of sales leadership. Notes from Peter Oliver. Stay out of your employees, and I've also extrapolated this to other people's. Well, in the book, he says stuff, but it's shit. Visualize success. The author, for example, says things like, I don't hit the ball into the water when he's golfing. What he didn't realize was he was visualizing hitting the ball in the water as he repeated that mantra to himself. Instead, you want to visualize the golf ball getting closer and closer to your target. As your world gets bigger, your ability to control things personally decrease. You'll start relying on your relationships with other people. That I haven't experienced personally. But as far as going back to the first point, I can definitely attest to that because there's this book that I've been reading where it says you want to visualize the most optimistic outcomes with things. And if you're saying things like, don't do this or don't do this, you're kind of putting attention on it. So what you want to do is just visualize the opposite. Instead of just saying, don't do this, why don't you say, do this, control the direction and the flow. As your world gets bigger, we talked about that. More responsibility makes you happy. This was something we talked about in a different video where we were talking about people are their most happiest when they're doing their work. And in the moment, sometimes it may say otherwise, but I think this can genuinely be true. And this is why lately I've started to, and I think I'm about to go off on a little bit of a tangent here, but I think this is something that I've started to embrace recently, especially after I've been seeing this one video by this YouTube personality named Dodash. And she was so passionate about this one subject of, doing things outside of work, traditional work to make income for yourself. And I thought about that to myself, like, don't you need to do work if you want money? And even on a spiritual level, you definitely want to do some work and you want to keep moving. And at that point, it's not about the money, it's about control and what makes you happy in life and doing what you need to do. So one time it actually hit me. I was out doing some Uber, I was doing some ride share, and I told myself, I was like, you know what? Let me do just one more ride. And then from there on, I think I did a few more rides or something. And then that's when it kind of dawned on me. It's like, okay, you definitely want to work. The whole money thing, I think, could be explained a little bit better to people. And that maybe that's just something you got to figure out as you go out into the world. But me personally, I've started to embrace this whole freedom from work kind of thing. Kind of also what we explained in another video is that rich people, wealthy people will kind of make their life their business, their life a business. And that's something that I'm definitely getting into. And that's something we can explore later as we go further along in these videos is this whole idea of constantly output, constantly putting out work, constantly just giving. And maybe there's a limit to that. And, we'll talk about that also. The Lord did rest on the seventh day. So there is that idea also. I think, yeah, I think what makes you happy is just constant work. Whether you're a housekeeper, you're always keeping up the house, always making things look neat. Whether you're going outside and hunting, you're always hunting. And then you get to the point where you've hunted so much and you have so much food and you have a surplus, you can give that food and trade it to other people. So that's something that we can really explore going forward, right? And going on to the next point, this is something we'll definitely talk about as later on in one of my reviews. Is books like the E-Myth Revisited mention that managing your own previous role as a salesperson required a different set of skills. Just because you were great at making cakes, for example, doesn't mean you'd be a great manager for people who make cakes, or even thrive as a business person who makes cakes for their business. It's two completely separate skills. There are new sets of skills that have to be trained. Engage in positive self-talk. As the new sales manager, try understanding what people want and where they are and why they are here doing what they do. Define accountability and outcomes for yourself. Track your actions and outcomes for effective accountability. Be aware of smoke screen. Be aware of, excuse me, be aware of smoke screen questions, which are questions someone will throw at you, but they may not want the answer you're immediately thinking of. The desired outcome of actions, hard work, and a shared vision will get you what you want. More pain equals more money, I guess. Talk about money on the heels of pain. Think about, and money could be, anything that your line of work is in. If you're a salesperson and you're selling Verizon wireless internet, for example, that may be your pain, I guess, and or maybe not. I could be missing. I could be needing some more information on that point. Next point, think about what makes people tick. That's a common thing I've read in sales um, memoirs or in sales circles. That's a common thing that's kind of heard in like the business circles. You want to find out what makes people tick. Success triangle. This is something I think is only exclusive to this book. He explains that behavior, attitude, and technique are a kind of success triangle. You want to keep climbing and move up the mountain. Be a lifelong learner. I think no matter what industry you're in, I think we can all agree that you want to keep learning and growing. You have to believe. Belief is all powerful. I'm so glad he said that because this is one of the first sales books I've read or I've listened to the audio version of that he was explaining things in a way that I understood as far as like visualizing and using belief. And that's something I really appreciated, and that's why this is a book that I return to quite often. I listen to the audio version at least like maybe 5 times. Great stuff. One thing that the author remembers his dad telling him is that I know you'll find a way, make it happen, and that's what we're doing now. So with this YouTube channel. So thank you.